Hello, and welcome back to Saltlick Worldwide. So as safari season kicks off, we're here to ensure you're perfectly prepared for your hunting trip to South Africa. Whether it's your first time over or you're returning for another great adventure, we're here to guide you through the essential packing do's and don'ts. Since we're also gearing up for our own journey, we thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to share our packing tips with you.
A safari in South Africa is an unforgettable adventure. The right gear can make all the difference in these diverse and sometimes challenging environments.
First up, let's talk about what to wear on the flight. Remember, this is a very long transatlantic flight, 14 and a half to 16 and a half hours, depending on what airline you book with. And comfort is absolutely crucial. You know, we've been over dozens of times, and this is kind of something we came up with that works really well. I've always start off with a very light cotton or synthetic blend t-shirt. This one just happens to be one of our Saltlick Outdoor shirts. Second, I like to either wear shorts or a very light pair of pants. In this case, what I'm going with this year is a gym style pant. They're super light, super comfortable. These happen to be Reebok. Can be Under Armour, Nike, you know, whatever. That doesn't really matter. Just make sure you're comfortable. Top that off with a pair of socks. The socks are you're choosing, doesn't really matter. What's really important to me is having something to get warm with. These international flights have a tendency to be very cold, and they do that for a reason. So I always like to bring a hoodie with me. In this case, this is a zip-up hoodie from Kuiu. Now, I like the zip-up because when you're in that seat, it's very hard to put things on and off over your head. Makes it easier when they unzip. It doesn't have to be a Kuiu. You can be whatever you like. I just prefer a zip-up style hoodie, especially when it's cold in there. I can throw the thing on, zip it up, put my hoodie over, put my headphones in, and just try to relax. And then last but not least are very comfortable shoes. And this is very important because you're going to spend a bunch of time walking in and out of the airport. So you're going to have some time on your feet, but the majority of your time is going to be in that long flight. And you want to make sure you have comfortable footwear. You know, you can wear boots if you want to. I see lots of people that go back and forth and they're wearing their hunting boots on the plane. Just for me, after 15, 16 hours, it's a bit much. So what I prefer is my Hey Dudes. You don't have to pick these, but these are nice because I can just kick these off and put them under the seat in front of me during the flight, relax, and I don't ever have to worry about them. The other thing I like about them is they're super packable. So you can put these in your backpack, you can put them in your carry-on, whatever, and they don't take hardly any space. So remember that this is our recommendation. You can certainly go it on your own, but you know, I like to keep it very minimal, very loose, very functional. Remember, you're not here for a fashion show. Nobody on that plane gives a shit. So wear what's comfortable. Stay away from heels, stuff like that. Boots, I don't recommend it, but otherwise, this is kind of what we go with. So now let's talk about your carry-on luggage and what you should have on you at all times. First up, guys, is a good backpack. I personally like this one from Overpacking. This is the Business 120 Large. I've had this one for several years, and for those of you that know me, know that I travel 27 to 30 weeks a year. So for something to hold up for several years for me is really impressive. Plus, the thing I like about it, it's larger than a conventional backpack, meaning it can accommodate larger, say 20-ish inch laptops. I will leave the link in the description to this one, but you know, just a backpack will work. It doesn't have to be anything special. You don't need to go spend $500 on a backpack. Just get a good backpack that you can carry with you the entire time. Remember, this thing is never going to leave you until you get to your final destination in your camp. So make sure you got a backpack that's comfortable, rides well, you can put all your gear in there. All right, now on to the carry-on style suitcase. So for me, I prefer a 20-inch hard suitcase, hard-shelled suitcase. This one happens to be from Level 8. I've had this thing for about 3 years now, which is really a testament to how durable this thing is, because anybody that knows me knows that I beat the crap out of everything. So this one's done really, really well. I see a lot of people getting on the plane with the big hunting style backpacks, from First Light or Kuiu or Sitka or something like that. And while that's all fine and dandy, I will caution you, the airlines normally limit you to one personal item and one carry-on. Now, a personal item is a bag that will fit under the seat in front of you. It may not be a big issue if you're one of the very first boarding classes, but especially as you get towards the end of the boarding cycle, I've seen people that got to the gate and the gate attendant actually made them check one of the bags that they were carrying because one was not a personal item size, they were both carry-on size. That is just asking for disaster. So make sure you comply with the airline's regulations, get something like this or something that is comparable to it that will be carry-on size, and your personal item. You don't need to go overboard. We're going to break this down in a minute, and I'm going to show you why this little bag right here will work for everything that you've got to do. All right, so now let's go over the items that you should have on your person at all times. I prefer to have these either in my pocket or my book bag, and these are common sense items too. So the first one is passport. It's good practice to keep a digital copy of both your passport and your photo ID in case something happens. So I like to have a photo of them on my cell phone or like Google Drive or something like that that I can access. First two things. Second, obviously, is your cell phone. If you want to use your phone, you should reach out to your carrier ahead of time and then make sure that you have an international plan for the duration of your safari. It's going to be way cheaper than paying several dollars a minute. I also recommend that everybody download and use WhatsApp, especially if you have an Android phone. It's free and you use it anywhere there's Wi-Fi. So essentially every night at camp, you're going to have Wi-Fi. So that way you can communicate with friends and family back home. Alternately, iPhone users can use iMessage and FaceTime, but word to the wise, if you don't plan on buying an international plan, keep your phone on airplane mode the entire trip. Otherwise, you're likely to end up with a bunch of bullshit charges when you get home. So word to the wise. Now, for a camera, you don't need a $10,000 camera to take good photos. In fact, something like this here, the Sony a6400, I've also got a smaller Panasonic Lumix. It's a DMC FZ1000, I believe. Takes fantastic photos and it can be purchased around like $600 US. But like I tell all of my friends, the best camera to use is the camera that you already had. And by that, I mean your cell phone. These new phones are as good as cameras that cost several $1,000s. And the best thing about it, you don't have to learn it. You already know how to use your phone. So for me, cell phone, if you want to take a second camera, you absolutely can. But remember, you're not going on a photographic safari. If you were, I may very well suggest something different. But you're watching this video because you are in country to shoot with a gun, not a camera. Next up is cash in USD. So it also doesn't hurt to have a couple $100s in Rand on you as well when you get there. You can either get it from the airport. I prefer to get it from your own bank. So if you go to the bank and ask for it, it takes them a couple of days and they can get Rand. The exchange rate is going to be far better than it would be if you're in South Africa. So have a couple $100 on you in Rand. It goes a long way. You can tip your guides. You can tip your trackers, your skinners, everybody with it. You don't have to leave the country with it, or bring a little bit home and give to your kids when you get back, whatever. Credit cards. Always have some credit cards on you. See, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, they're pretty much taken all over the world. But for me, it seems like Visa and MasterCard, especially in South Africa, are accepted most widely. I've been in some situations where the vendor just would not take American Express. Or you got into a situation where, they'll take American Express, but they want to charge an extra 20%. So, just make sure you have some credit cards. And please, 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 do not use your debit card unless it's your absolute last resort. I've seen it happen several times where somebody used their debit card, it got popped, and it created a nightmare for them on their trip. So unless you have no other options, do not use your debit card. Use a credit card. It's safer that way. If something happens, a credit card company will take care of it. Next up, medications. Do not put your medication in your check bag. Keep it with you always. Always, always, always make sure you have your meds with you. Now, once you get to camp, you can absolutely leave it in your room. It's going to be safe there. You don't have to worry about it. But during travel, make sure you have whatever medication you need to take. Make sure it is with you. Next on the list is a laptop or iPad. I know a lot of people are in business, and these trips tend to be long. Normally a 7-day safari ends up keeping us away from home for 12 to 13 days. So a lot of times I'll jump on and I want to check my email and see what's going on back in the States, and I don't want to use my phone to do it, so I'll carry a laptop or an iPad. For me, I do a lot of editing while I'm on the road, so for me I always take a laptop with me. And like I said, this is a 20-inch laptop and it fits in the bag that we talked about earlier. So that's another reason I really like that bag, is because this is a big laptop and it fits in that bag no problem. Next, if you are traveling with firearms, make sure that you have a copy of not only your 4457, which is this form right here, but also your SAPS 520. Likewise, scan the things before you leave, same as your passport and your ID. Make sure you have a digital copy somewhere that you can get your hands on. Likewise, if you are traveling with a firearm and you have a suppressor, make sure you absolutely have a copy of your tax stamp with you at all times. Once again, make sure you have a digital copy saved to the cloud somewhere, your cell phone, whatever. If something happens, you've got it that way. So tax stamp if you're bringing a suppressor, you want your 4457. I always laminate mine. I put my phone number at the top before I laminate it. That way, if something happens to it, it's not going to rip, it's not going to tear, it's flexible. This is from last year, but I'll do the same thing for this one. Your SAPS 520 that's been duly executed by South Africa. And yeah, so make sure you have those with you, digital copies also. Next is a power converter / adapter. A lot of times in country, my first several trips, I used just an adapter and was plugging cords directly into it. It's better to have an actual power converter. It's a universal power adapter. This one is from, let's see, Best Tech. I've had this for, I think this will be my 5th or 6th safari with it. It works perfectly. I'll put a link in the description where you can get it on Amazon. I think it's roughly $30. So definitely worth having. I always keep a flashlight in my backpack as well. And then after that, it's going to be minor stuff. It's going to be toothbrush, deodorant, toothpicks, Kleenexes, anything else that you can think of. This kind of covers the basics. And remember, you don't need a ton. Like I said, flashlight, maybe some spare batteries. If you have lithium batteries in your camera gear or something like that, make sure those are in your carry-on or your check bag, or your personal item, because they won't let you put it on the plane. All right, now let's dive into your carry-on bag. All right, now let's talk about what you're going to put in your carry-on bag. We've already talked about the bag itself. Now let's talk about what goes in the bag. We're going to start with 2 t-shirts. Doesn't have to be anything special. 2 pair of pants. They can be blue jeans. I prefer a little different style of pant. I like the Kuyu attack pants. They're durable, they're lightweight, pretty easy to wear. I will tell you why exactly in just a second. A light hunting jacket. This one happens to be also by Kuyu. It's the Valo pattern. I believe that is the Axis Hybrid. Next, we are going with 2 pair of underwear, 2 pair of socks. After that, 2 long sleeve shirts. Button up, it can be a t-shirt style, just long sleeve shirts. From there, we're going on. You want a pair of gloves. Notice they're the same as the Kuyu jacket. A knit cap or some kind of cap, and a net gaiter. Super light, easy to use. Next, your hunting boots. Yep, your hunting boots are absolutely going to go in your carry-on, followed by your bathroom kit. That's going to have all your toiletries in there, your toothpaste, your deodorant, razor, hairbrush, the medications, whatever. Next is sleeping attire. Now, this can be an extra pair of shorts or a t-shirt. What I found is those same pair of pants that I wear on the airplane, they actually work very well for sleeping clothes. So I've already got these on me, so they're going to be there already. So for me, I don't have to pack anything else. I've already got my sleeping gear for what I'm going to wear there. So the reason I am bringing my hunting boots, a hunting jacket, and some different type of pants is because I've seen it firsthand where something happens and your bags either do not get on the plane or do not make it to Johannesburg. And the worst thing in the world is being stuck there with no clothes whatsoever. Now, your outfitter will likely have something that you can wear for a couple days, but I pack in this fashion. So if disaster strikes, I at least have enough to make it through for several days until my luggage finally does arrive. So these are kind of the basics that I go with. And, it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's actually not. So we're actually going to dive in. I'm going to show you how this all packs up very nicely, and then we'll move on to the big stuff. Okay, and just like that, everything's packed up. So everything that was laying on this table is now in this simple 20-inch hard case, hard shell, that is a carry-on. So this is going to be accepted by all major airlines. You're not going to have a problem with it. Like I said, it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's not. So we'll just go through this real quick. Unzip. This side, we have a pair of hunting boots, 2 pairs of socks, bathroom shower kit, sleeping clothes, underwear. On this side, hunting jacket, two long sleeve shirts, 2 t-shirts, 2 pair of pants, along with the old trusty flashlight. So it fits, there's no problem. Those are the essentials. So if something happens when you fly into Johannesburg, at least you will have enough to make it several days and you won't have to worry about it. Now, is it perfect? Heck no, nothing's perfect. But, in a pinch, it will absolutely work. Some of you will be flying into Johannesburg and then departing directly with their outfitter. Some of you will be hunting on the Eastern Cape or in the Southern Districts, and you'll likely have to stay the night in Joburg and catch a domestic flight the next day. If you're staying in Joburg, we highly recommend Africa Sky Guest House. We've been using them for years and they've always come through. I'll post a link with a contact in the description. Another good choice would be the Afton House. I've not stayed there personally, but I've had friends stay there and it's come highly recommended. These places really know how to cater to hunters and can accommodate just about any request. So likewise, if it's your first, second, third, fourth time in the country, I still recommend talking to Leonie from Africa Sky about their VIP pickup package. It's really fantastic in that a representative will actually meet you and your party at the exit of the passenger boarding bridge from the airplane, walk you all the way through immigration and customs, help you collect all of your bags, proceed to the main exit there where you're likely to meet Gilbert from Africa Sky, who'll take care of all your needs, including transportation to and from Joburg. Now, I've got 13 people coming with me this year. We've gone ahead and booked with Africa Sky. We've paid for the VIP pickup, and it only came out to $360, and that's $360 well spent. All right, so now on to the check bag. Now, this can be a duffel or a hard-sided case. It's really personal preference. Just make sure it's hard enough to withstand being thrown around by the airport personnel that, frankly, don't give a shit about your bags. This year, I'm running a Geo Rig 9800. I'll post the link in the description. I like it because it's got all sorts of different storage. There's exterior storage, there's interior storage. It's divided out. There's all these different zipper places, pockets, everything. The best feature I like is it's got wheels. So instead of having to tote this, massive, bag through the airport, you can actually pull it. It's got an extendable handle, comes out, and yeah, so that's what I'm running this year. But it can be whatever you want. A conventional hard-sided suitcase will be fine, but I can tell you everything, and I can't stress this enough, everything that you need for your trip, be it a 5-day trip, a 7-day trip, a 10-day trip, whatever, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, everything you need will fit right in here with room left over. So yeah, let's talk about what to actually put in this dude. Something else to point out is almost every camp in South Africa offers laundry service. I've not been to a camp that didn't offer laundry service. So there's no need to overpack. That's one of the biggest issues I see with people. When we get to the airport, there's all these people coming over to get off the airplane and get their bags. And, they're coming to the safari for the first time or the second time or third time. And each person's got 3 or 4 bags that they're picking up from baggage claim. You don't need that. You're not going to use it. These outfitters in these lodges are going to take care of you. There's laundry service every day. So what you wear that day will be clean by the time you get back into your room that following afternoon when you get through hunting. So don't overpack. I can't stress it enough. Everybody freaks out their first trip and like, oh my God, I got to have all this stuff. And you're not going to wear 90% of it. So we're going to go through the essentials of what you're going to need. It's going to be more than adequate, and you'll actually have a little left over in case something happens. So let's dive into that now. All right, guys. So for the hunt itself, temperatures can be quite cold in the early mornings and later in the evenings, depending on the time of year you'll be in country. My group normally hunts in late May through July. So in South Africa, it's wintertime over there. It's our summer, their winter. You're going to want to layer effectively. So here's what I'm packing for the hunt. First off is a hunting jacket, one heavy jacket. Now you've already seen this because it's already in my carry-on bag. Second things, 2 sets of hunting pants. I've got 2 sets right here. I believe these are the Kuiu Pro and the Kuiu Axis Hybrid pant. I really like those. They've held up well. Both these pair of pants have been to Africa 4 times-ish now. Held up. After that, 2 pair of hunting socks. These are also made by Kuiu. Don't have to be. Kenetrex makes really good socks. I know First Light makes good socks, but just get 2 good pair of hunting socks. Next is thermal underwear, long johns. I do this a little different than some people. I actually prefer the long johns from First Light that just come over the knee, because the hunting socks that we wear are so long, your hunting sock will actually come up and cap over and hold these in the place, and they're very light. So what happens is that time of the year in Africa, it's normally cold in the mornings, like I said. So when you get up and you go out first thing, it's very chilly. But by the time the sun comes up and everything starts to warm up, it could get into the 70s real quick. So you want to layer in such a fashion that, keep in mind you could be sitting, you could be moving, but layer in such a fashion that you can kind of take it off real easy. So for, regular days, I'm going to run these First Lights. I'm also going to bring an extra pair with me for a third pair, but these are super heavy. These are merino wool. And the reason I bring these is because oftentimes I found myself in situations where I'm actually doing night hunts, and there's no way to stay warm. You're not sitting in the truck, you're outside. So I like to have something that's going to be a little warmer in case we do something like that. And it's possible too to have frost on the ground while you're there. I've seen snow later in the year, on occasion, depending on what elevation you're hunting at. So it's just a good idea to be prepared. It takes very little to pack that stuff, so just bring it. Next, bring 2 more pair of underwear. You've already got 2 in your other bag, bring 2 more. Hunting boots. Your hunting boots are already packed in your carry-on. Just make sure you have. Another thing about hunting boots is you want to make sure they're waterproof. Do not bring muck boots. Don't bring anything that's heavy insulated. Make sure they're broken in before you get there, or you will get blisters. But like I said, you've already packed those, so you don't have to worry about it. That's just a friendly reminder. Coming back here, we're going to do 2 base layers. These are both from Kuiu. They're just Kuiu base layers, long sleeve. I've got 2 mids here. These are also from Kuiu. They're zip up, so you can take them on and off. Like I said, layering is key for that time of year and that kind of hunt. So you want something that'll zip on and off real easy, and you can shed layers as the day goes on. Once again, you want a knit cap. We talked about that already. You want a pair of gloves, and you want a net gaiter. Now, the thing about these they're already packed. You've already got those in your carry-on. Regular ball cap. This happens to be Kuiu and Valo. Chunk that in your bag as well. Now, 2 pairs of either blue jeans or pants. Now, remember, you've already got 2 pairs with you because they're already in your carry-on. That's why you don't see them on the table, because you've already got them with you. 2 nice shirts, button-up style. Well, guess what? These are already in your carry-on. You don't need any more. Bring a pocket knife. You do not need a frickin' Bowie knife to go to Africa. I see these guys all the time. They're coming with these giant frickin' knives, and it looks like a scene from Crocodile Dundee. You don't need that shit. Bring a standard little pocket knife. Make sure it is in your checked bag. Do not put it in your carry-on or your personal bag, because it will get taken out and you will lose your knife. So put it in your checked bag, and that way you got a knife with you. Next, let's talk about some hygiene stuff. Wet wipes or dude wipes. Always bring them with you. It's never going to hurt. You're out in the bush. Sometimes you're a long way away from civilization. And frankly, sometimes you got to take a wood shit. So always have you a pack of dude wipes with you. Next, bring a roll of duct tape or gaff tape with you. This is going to sound ridiculous, but You could be several hours away from the nearest town when you're in South Africa. And you know what? Frankly, shit happens. So everybody needs a roll of duct tape. And for the same reason, I always bring a roll of electrical tape because once again, shit happens. The next item is optional. These are boot gaiters. These particular boot gaiters are also made by Kuyu. You can bring them, you cannot. I just want to say though, if you're worried about ticks, bugs, then you're probably going to want a pair of gaiters. The however is, if you're in that June to July timeframe in South Africa, it's very cold there, so you're not going to have an issue with bugs. Boot gaiters also help with the thorns. And remember, everything in Africa has thorns. So if you're worried about thorns, boot gaiters. If you're worried about bugs, which there won't be there any that time of year, grab yourself some boot gaiters. You do not have to use these. There's several companies that make them. I just happen to like the Kuyu style, so that's what I run. Next thing, binoculars. Make sure you have your binos with you. I am running the Sig Kilo 3000s. I've had these for several years. This is a Kuyu Bino harness. You're going to spend the vast majority of your day in your binos. So what you don't want to do is forget them or bring a set that I see a lot of people that come over and they've got a cheap Tasco set from Walmart and, their eyes are killing them and it's got a single strap and it's flopping everywhere when you're trying to work. Spend the money. I'll put a link in the description. I know that you can go to Amazon right now and buy I think it's a Vortex Diamondback that comes with a Bino harness for like $180-ish, something like that. There's also a version below that also comes with a Bino harness at a minimum. Go pick up something like that. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Plus, they're not bouncing around, especially if you're on a spot and stock. The last thing you want to do is have to be dicking around with a set of binoculars that are flopping all over the place. So make sure you bring your binos, get a Bino harness. It's worth every penny. This is not so much of a packing thing, but more of a CYA thing. Definitely cover your ass thing. Air tags or comparable if you happen to have an Android phone. I think the Samsung makes one, Samsung Galaxy Smart Tag 2. Heard good things about them. I'm an iPhone guy, so I don't know. I know they roughly cost the same. I think this is a 4-pack for roughly $80. You can get them on Amazon. They're in stock. You need to have an air tag in everything you're going to check because once again, shit happens. If you're bringing a firearm, make sure you have an air tag in your gun case. If you're bringing a bow, make sure you have an air tag in your bow case. If you are checking a piece of luggage, make sure you have an air tag in that piece of luggage. Because I've seen it happen before where the airline supposedly lost the luggage or it didn't get there. But fortunately, somebody had an air tag and it's like, no, it's actually in Johannesburg right now. And this is where it is. And they could walk right to it and somebody threw it off the bag or threw it on the wrong cart or something. It's been sitting there the whole time. Plus, if it does get left, you can tell the representative on the phone exactly where it is. So bring one of these. They're great. Make sure your bags are all tagged. Make sure you got good bag tags. Don't use those piece of shit, little plastic one. These are made by Tough Tag. They have steel on them, name, address, contact information, email address, everything. If something happens to your bag, that way you've got it on there. Those little plastic things you buy at Walmart are shit and they'll fall off when they're going through all the baggage materials. So definitely don't do that. But so like I said, so now you've seen the carry-on and then you've seen the entirety, excluding some of the stuff that's already in your carry-on. So we're going to show you how much room you'll actually have left over if you pack what I've told you to do. And it's going to be a shock. There's a shitload of room left. At it. And so now if you follow along so far, you've got a book bag packed, ready to go. You've got your carry-on packed, ready to go. The only thing left are the items left on the table. So obviously you can tell it's all going to fit, but we'll go through the motion and just kind of stuff this stuff in here randomly. I'm not even going to try to make it small. I'm just going to shove it on in here. I like to layer the Bino harness or your binos in between clothes. It just gives them a little added layer of protection, especially if you've got Leicas or Swaros or something like that. These things get pretty pricey, so we don't want to see them beat to shit. Don't forget those. Those are important. Those are there. Caps in there. Now, with everything in your bag, this thing is not even remotely full. I'm saying maybe a third. I haven't put anything in these pockets, haven't done anything. Now, for me, I always bring a gun, so I have to bring ammo. From the States, your ammo goes inside your bag. Once you get in country, it comes out. There's a lockbox that's on there. So I always leave room so I have ammo. But if you're bringing this type of bag or a hard suitcase and you pack just like I told you to, you're going to have a ton of room to go by all those cool little curio shops and bring a bunch of cheap shit back for all your friends and family. So yeah, that's it. There's no reason to overpack. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is, if you remember, don't overpack to go hunting in Africa. It's not needed. You are not so far away from the world that you can't get things, and your outfitter is going to have anything that you don't have. So with that said, thank you for watching, guys. For more tips and guides on outdoor adventures, make sure you subscribe to Saltlick Outdoors. Safe travels and happy hunting.